In 1513, a man who had lost everything sat in exile and wrote a book so unsettling that it would haunt human thought for centuries. His name was Niccolò Machiavelli. What he revealed was not a strategy for cruelty, but a mirror held up to human nature itself. Beneath every friendship, every romance, every promise of loyalty, there are hidden forces most people refuse to see. Why do people disappear when you need them most? Why does love sometimes fade the moment circumstances change? And why do the people who swear devotion often become the very ones who betray us? In this video, you will uncover the psychological patterns that silently govern human relationships, patterns that have shaped power, loyalty, attraction, and betrayal for centuries. Once you understand them, you will read people differently, protect yourself from silent manipulation, and build relationships grounded in reality rather than comforting illusions. Watch until the end, because what you are about to discover may permanently change the way you see loyalty, respect, and the true nature of human connection. Before we dive in, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. In the year 1513, while Europe was filled with grand speeches about honor, loyalty, and noble virtues, a man who had lost everything sat in quiet exile and wrote observations about human behavior that would echo for centuries. His name was Niccolò Machiavelli. What made his writing so unsettling was not cruelty or darkness, but clarity. He described patterns in human relationships that most people sense privately but rarely dare to say out loud. Patterns that appear in friendships, romantic relationships, families, and even the workplace. The uncomfortable part is that once these patterns are noticed, they begin to appear everywhere. Suddenly, many confusing moments in life start to make sense. Human beings naturally want to believe that loyalty is unconditional and that affection exists independently of circumstance. It is a comforting idea, and in many ways a beautiful one. Yet reality quietly shows something more complex. Many relationships appear strong for years and then change dramatically when circumstances shift. A close friend becomes distant when your life path changes. A partner who once seemed deeply devoted slowly loses interest when the relationship becomes emotionally heavy. A colleague who once supported you suddenly becomes indifferent when professional interests diverge. At first glance, these moments feel like betrayal or mystery, but when observed carefully, they often reveal a very consistent psychological pattern. Across cultures and generations, relationships tend to thrive when both sides feel that the connection adds value to their lives. That value does not have to be material. It can be emotional support, companionship, intellectual stimulation, shared goals, trust, or stability. But when a relationship becomes deeply imbalanced for a long period of time, when one side constantly gives while the other only receives, tension begins to grow silently. Social psychologists have studied this dynamic for decades. Research published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology has repeatedly shown that the perception of fairness and mutual benefit is one of the strongest predictors of long-term relationship stability. When people feel that a relationship is balanced and respectful, they invest in it more deeply. When they feel it has become one-sided, their emotional investment gradually weakens. This insight does not mean that human connection is selfish in a crude sense. Rather, it reflects a deeper psychological principle. Human beings naturally seek equilibrium in their emotional and social lives. Relationships flourish when both people feel appreciated and valued. When appreciation disappears, or when one person consistently sacrifices while the other takes without awareness, the relationship begins to lose its vitality. Another powerful element hidden inside human relationships is respect. Many people believe that affection alone is enough to sustain a connection. Yet in reality, affection without respect rarely lasts. Respect emerges when people sense that the person in front of them has clear values, self-worth, and healthy boundaries. When someone quietly but firmly protects their dignity and time, others begin to treat them with greater seriousness. Boundaries are not walls meant to isolate people. They are signals that define how a person deserves to be treated. Behavioral psychology explains this process in a very simple way. Human beings learn through patterns of response. When a certain behavior produces no consequence, it tends to repeat. When a clear boundary appears, behavior adjusts. Over time, people naturally adapt to the standards they encounter. This is why individuals who maintain calm but firm boundaries often experience more consistent respect in their relationships. They are not harsh or cold. They are simply clear. There is another fascinating dimension to human attraction that many people overlook. At the beginning of most relationships, whether romantic or social, there is a natural sense of curiosity and discovery. Each person has their own life, interests, ambitions, and personal rhythm. That independence creates energy and fascination. Yet sometimes, as relationships deepen, individuals unintentionally dissolve their independence. They abandon personal interests, neglect friendships, and revolve entirely around the relationship itself. Ironically, this can slowly diminish the very attraction that once existed. Psychological research supports this observation. Studies discussed by the American Psychological Association indicate that maintaining a sense of individual identity within close relationships is strongly associated with long-term attraction and emotional satisfaction. When people remain whole, individuals with their own passions and goals, the relationship becomes a place of shared growth rather than dependence. When these ideas are combined, a clearer picture of human relationships begins to appear. Strong connections are rarely built on emotion alone. They tend to grow from three powerful elements working together: mutual benefit, mutual respect, and personal independence. When these forces are balanced, relationships feel alive, voluntary, and meaningful. Each person remains free, yet chooses the connection again and again. Understanding this truth does not make a person cynical. In fact, it can create a deep sense of peace. Many of life's disappointments come from expecting people to behave according to idealized visions rather than natural human tendencies. When someone understands the psychological structure behind relationships, they become less shocked by sudden changes and more capable of choosing wisely where to invest their emotional energy. The real power of this knowledge is not manipulation, but awareness. Instead of hoping every relationship will last forever, regardless of circumstances, a person begins to cultivate connections that are balanced, respectful, and authentic. Such relationships are far more resilient because they are built on reality rather than illusion. And perhaps the most remarkable discovery is this: when two people meet who both understand these principles, who value fairness, dignity, and sincerity, their connection becomes extraordinarily strong. Not because it is blind or naive, but because it is conscious and mature. Those relationships are the ones that endure the pressures of time, change, and hardship. In the end, the greatest transformation does not come from trying to control others. It comes from understanding human nature clearly and shaping one's own life with wisdom. When that understanding deepens, relationships stop being confusing emotional storms and begin to feel like meaningful partnerships between people who see the world with open eyes. Before you go, notice the video appearing on your screen right now. Psychology of Woman Who Tests Power: What Machiavelli Understood About Attraction 500 Years Ago. This insight may completely change the way you understand attraction and power. Watch it now. And if you enjoy deep psychological truths like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.